And welcome back, everybody, to Leviathan, the Epic of Virgilius. Yesterday, we continued chapter 13. We switched over to the book format, so we're not going to get as many of these as we can per stream. But doesn't matter. The story is picking up. We had Garnet facing a maestro, or a docent, it seems. And things seem to be getting quite bad for Virgilius. Once again, everybody, the read-through of these are going to the Games Are Bastard channel. We are not going to be able to do daily uploads by the time these ones come out because of the length of these. So we will see how much we can get done today. With that, let me just go ahead and put the background music. Come on. And let's get started, shall we? Yeah, we have spoilers from Limbus Company, but we kind of knew where it was going. NMC, welcome to the head. Alright, with that, let's go. As the sounds of rifts echoed through the laboratory, the children inside the machines began to spit out unintelligible things, screams and painful wails.
Stop, please. I don't want to see. I'm looking into myself.
I could understand what that last utterance meant. It was evident with the myriad of scenes that have unfolded in a flash before my eyes. At the center of them, all was my back. This seems to be the kaleidoscope. We might be looking at things through Denver's perspective. Speaking of, let me just make sure that I have the list on the Leviathan. There we go. It was quite strange looking at countless versions of myself from behind. Though it wasn't terror I felt, the sight was rather tranquil. In fact. Perhaps a more apt way to put it would be that I was unsure of what emotion to feel. Then all the visions twist, flip, split, and waver until everything begins to overlap. My multitudes occupying or being placed in this space turn around to look at me. Yeah, this is the kaleidoscope. This is definitely the kaleidoscope, yep. Yep, because Denver was trying to infiltrate and to smuggle a kaleidoscope into the ring and was told to try it out. However, she had already gone through it and she got eye-kissed by the docent. So maybe we're continuing, maybe she's continuing this. We don't fully know. Let's see. My eyes meet one of the dozens, hundreds, thousands of my other selves. It might be his that met mine, and in that moment's notice the sceneries fade away, as though claimed by a bottomless chasm. I vanished into the tremor. I was on my knees, wailing in the midst of heavy rain. The storm in my heart raged with such fury that the downpour couldn't compare, and my despair grows grimy and sodden in the rain. Why am I crying out here? I was a member of the streetlight office, an unremarkable one with unimpressive pay and a lack of fame. In other words, it was a job I had no reason to be attached to. Then, one day, we were invited to a place called the library, and lost Lapis there while I survived. This is Garnet. This is Garnet. This is not Denver. This is Garnet. This is Garnet. He is facing the docent, and we did get betrayed by what's-her-face. We got betrayed by not Jumsun, by Rikako. We got betrayed by Rikako. So, infinite possibilities exist, infinite worlds, infinite versions of yourself. Yup. So, yeah. We left you behind as you became part of the library's collection. Okay, so we're connecting Library of Ruina to this.
You stupid idiot! Why?
I hoped that it wasn't Lapis who'd replaced the cake in the fridge. I hoped that it wasn't Lapis who'd replace the cake in the fridge. Nice CG, yeah, it looks nice. I remember that one time on a rainy day like this one, I got into a fight with Lapis over something small. I was so heated by her mocking tone that I was on the verge of raising my fist. But when I simmered down a little, I noticed that she was holding an umbrella over my head as she kept replying to my grumbles in the same sassy tone. The streetlight always stands solemnly, shining down in the dark. Most trippy chapter in the novel, I can see that, yeah. Letting it gently illuminate the lurching waves of my heart would often help me calm down. Love-hate relationship? No, that just sounds like friendship. Like, don't forget, they were both in the same orphanage, so they probably have a sibling-esque relationship. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably just a sibling relationship. There is a place for Library of Ruina, just don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, by the time we start playing Library of Ruina, I guarantee you I will have forgotten. Anyway, that made it my wish to be like you, shining ever more brightly in the dark. I have to get Lapis's book from the library. That's what I can do for... For a while, I poured out feelings I couldn't quite describe in the rain, and the light shining down on me gradually dimmed before eventually fizzling out. My surroundings blur again like raindrops running along a window. The me in the scenery casts his gaze upon me to meet my eyes. I don't try to avoid my glare.
Director, how could this even be considered tolerable?
The outcry of someone breathing heavily from uncontained emotions reached my ears. As I looked around upon hearing the unfamiliar title, a desk piled high with papers caught my eye. Not knowing who says things when I said it's annoying. Anyway, I felt it was a rather friendly sight, and with that, the feeling of unfamiliarity was dissolved like spume. Spume? Oh boy. I take a deep breath. My men are too easily upset at this immediate injustice, too eager to argue against it with logic, at such small things, at such insignificant things. The southern branch of the She Association was rotten to the core. I aimed to excise each and every trace of the corruption taking hold of this organization. Yeah, we might be getting some Walpurgis kind of thing. We see the She Association mentioned, yeah. Interesting. But I still had work to do. Though I hadn't had a proper sleep for 10 days, this was not yet the time to rest. I could only say this.
I want you to suppress your feelings and remind yourself money, fame, and power rules over this world.
I thought about the fixers of partnered offices whom I heard were all killed off. The Section 3 director had summoned me one day to demand straight away that I report what I'm up to. When I replied that I planned to fix what is broken, they pulled out a pack of cigarettes and burned through it in one sitting. She mentioned without Mephistopheles, yep. Why that person decided to help with the cause was beyond me. They swore they'd retire next year, too. Garnet pulling the gotcha, there you go. Maybe Mephistopheles based on the singularity? Could be. Could be. As a matter of fact, we might face annihilation ourselves if we're not careful. Or worse, we might already be on the way down. I wonder what look will be on Thelma's face when he hears the Section 4's demise. Thelma, that's a new name. It was my job to hearten up my subordinates and assure them that we're almost through the crisis. Oh god. That hits close to home. That hits close to home. I'm not a manager, but I have one. And his job is always to say, like, yes, guys, middle management promises, Pinky promised, that this is the last crisis we're gonna have like this one. And he has to say this every, like, 3 months. Oh, the poor bastards. Anyway. I should tell them with unwavering confidence. However, being confident and having to be confident were 2 different matters. I had to ensure that everything I did wasn't a fool's errand. I must see to it that this is not to be a dead end for my men. To ease this troubled mind, I turned to look out the window. Then a gust of wind blew outside, turning the world upside down once more. My eyes meet another's. He's going through the mirror worlds. The broiling heat wakes me up at dawn. The weak breeze produced by my decrepit fan does little to dry off the beads of sweat trickling down my back. And this is why you get air conditioning. I had to be up by 6 in the morning anyway. I got a decent post at the local library, and I could avoid the attention of my landlord by leaving at this time of day. He forgave me with a generous smile when I couldn't meet rent for 2 months, but his understanding of juvenility turned into clamorous demands once he noticed my overdue rent would continue to grow for another month or 2.
Could use some gas?
I keep writing and erasing text messages. Living in a rural area, my parents don't know how pricey things are in the big city. They think I've taken the midnight shift to make myself some extra money, but they don't know how hard it is to cover the gas, water, and electric bills for my cramped lodging, on top of food, travel, and all the other little things. Potential Rodia reference, yes. They were reassured by their son that his academic excellence as the top of his class would put him and his family on the road to luxury. But they didn't know that I applied for a lesser university to secure scholarships. I love that in Korea, like, it's the quality of the university and not the idea that universities are a scam. I love it. Anyway. They don't know that I had to take a semester off to make a living, or that I was busy flying from table to table serving customers at a barbecue restaurant while others were busy flying in and out of the country, building international experience and studying abroad. I wanted to know where it all went wrong, but with everything taken together, there's only one conclusion to make. I was the one who tried and failed to qualify for the jobs. It must have been my lack of effort that got me rejected. If only I'd slept just a little less than I did. If only I'd bought 1 fewer piece of clothing. If only I hadn't gotten my hands on different food because I got sick of instant ramen. If only I didn't have to study less and work more to make up for the hole it made in my balance. If only I didn't let temptation get the better of me. It's because I wasn't good enough. I wasn't trying hard enough. I stepped outside to get some fresh air and gazed at the sky. When I was asked one time about what kind of person I desired to be as a kid during a job interview, I'd wanted to say,
I wished I could be rich enough to make a hot bath, to take a hot bath in winter.
that was enough for me. Hey, welcome today, how you doing? Found real life in the mirror worlds? Yup. The interviewer didn't seem to agree, though. Classic self-loading spiral? Yeah, this is the rumination phase, yeah. I should get another job. I'll get up at 4 every morning. I ran my fingers looking up for job openings on my phone. Looking for gym receptionist. My eyes caught a good enough offer. You can't find a part-time job that pays this much for these hours anywhere. I might even find time to study during the shift if I asked the owner nicely. I was immersed in such thoughts under the blazing sunlight.
Kya!
Says something. Plane flies above him, look at that. I might have been too caught up in my thoughts to notice the terrified screams and people fleeing in chaos. I thought that the shadow cast over me was a cloud or something. It was a particularly large and dark shadow, but I didn't find it strange. When I looked up again, a plane came into my sight. It was flying far lower than usual. It looked as it was about to plunge into the ground. Oh my god! So even 10 centuries in, oisekes fehervar, and we still have this problem, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god. Mirror world, like, granted, mirror world, the mirror world where we still have this problem, but still. Yup, this mirror world, Garnet was there for this version of 9/11. Oh my god. Okay. I couldn't seem to recall the last time I saw that thing called an airplane fly above the city. More importantly, I can't tell for sure if I knew what an airplane was in the first place. Where am I anyway? What district of the city did I think I was in? A wave of nausea rises in me as the strangeness of myself existing in this foreign place, as if I always belonged here, becomes apparent. Turns out that our world is also a mirror world. There are no planes in the city. Well, there are... There can always be a plane in the city. If you believe in the Quran hard enough. Oh, damn it. Oh, no. But all that confusion is useless now. Try as I might, there's no way I can outrun that massive bird of steel. I can tell from this feeling. It's a race I'm doomed to lose, much like my struggle against poverty. In the end, I can't escape the explosion that the plane will cause, crashing into the street. All because I was too slow. I was too incapable.
I should have taken out life insurance.
Reality 9/11, the city doesn't know the concept of planes. Yup. I mean, to be fair, the city folk many times don't know many concepts. Like, the amount of people in New York that don't know where milk comes from is insane. Like, you're always gonna have that kind of thing, that city people just live in their own mind, in their own little world. The city was to remove all planes. He definitely knew something. Yep, there you go. The commissioned planes after the third installment of 9/11 happened. They will always find a way, dude. They will always find a way. They always find a way, dude. Anyway. When I came home every winter, I would see my father's back as he carried the cauldron of water he boiled with our barely functioning gas stove. That was the last image that flashed my mind. In a blow of hot wind, everything went dark. Before I can realize it, my eyes come into contact with yet another eye, and the world shimmers once again. Apparently milk comes from cheese? I mean, kind of. From the cheesemakers, yeah. No, like, I've had this. Like, I've had friends when I was living in Boston who did not know where milk came from. Like, they just didn't. They just could not connect that the milk at the store was the same milk that cows make. Like, they just did not have that there. They didn't know that there's a logistics chain that has cow gets milked, that milk then gets pasteurized, that pasteurized milk that gets packaged, and then it gets distributed and sold. Where does chocolate milk come from? Santa Claus. Next up is a genuine article presented by Mr. Garnet himself. An orange gemstone processed out of carnelian, a subject procured from an orphanage in District 22. A voice coming from the side opened my eyes. An orphanage? Carnelian was a shy kid who could only nod or shake heads instead of speaking up. But when we were alone, I was taught how to whistle with grace. Don't call them cows? Look! Different kind of milk. So, reminds me of the person that thought that honey was blended up bees. That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. Oh my god. Alright, let's see. Wait, so if chocolate milk comes from brown cows, does that mean that, like, strawberry milk or, like, cherry milk comes from red cows? Is that why the Jews keep trying to bring, like, the red cow? So that they can just start having, like, cherry milk? Like, it turns out they just really, really love cherry milk. That's just the kind of flavor that they just love. Everything makes sense now. There you go. Oh my god. Infinite cherry milk, because strawberry milk comes from pink cows. So, yes. Alright, yeah, whistle with grace. I take a moment to examine myself. I'm wearing clothes only members of the ring wear. Next to me is an auctioneer, excitedly following raised hands and chanting bids. I'm at a gallery's auction. We have 3 million on. Aha, the gentleman over there put 4 million. Yes, we're not 5 million. Well, let's get more. Bang. And there it is, a deal of 5 million on. Congratulations. The strike of the gavel brought me back to reality. I could finally take a close look at the item placed at the auctioneer's side. Your gems, and you must discover that you will possess unparalleled beauty if you keep cutting and polishing yourselves. I was reminded of the lesson my teacher would preach time and time again. Teacher? Have I been to a seminar at one of the galleries? The word should have been well known to me, but it's bothering me that it occurred to me in an unfamiliar scene. That mattered little, though, compared to this jewel before my eyes.
So beautiful.
Oh boy. The gemstone glistened with a brilliant red hue reminiscent of sunset. My eyes fill with ecstatic delight upon beholding its luster. I like how the CG has, like, you know, he's got, like, the hat, and we only see the, like, a little bit of dyed hair. Because drawing the whole thing would mean, you know, drawing Garnet as like gender, what's it called, like genderly ambiguous, like like ambiguous gender kind of thing. Then Lapis Carnelian. Apparently, the children of the orphanage are named after gemstones. Yeah. Yes. Beholding the gemstone glistened with a brilliant red hue reminiscent of sunset. My eyes filled with ecstatic delight upon beholding its luster. The mystifying and magnificent color is exhibited only by trapping the rough gem in extreme heat and pressure. So like regular ring? Yes. Until every aspect they possess has been compressed into a single point. I can picture the process vividly in my head. I can almost sense the aesthetics of cruelty at the center of this precious stone. I want to see more. What splendor will a gem of greater size show me? Now that I think about it, a friend by the name of Aqua had clear blue eyes resembling an ocean vibrant with life. If I can get a gem holding that color, if there's a way to make it... Geespins, welcome today, how you doing? Look at vocal-wise, there you go.
No.
I shook my head in immediate denial of the thought I just had, but it was no use. There was no hiding that I considered how to process my friends into luxury items just as seconds ago, as if I was willing to carry it out as soon as I had the method. That in turn makes me wonder how I came up with the idea of processing friends. Have I ever had a friend named Aqua? Before that, I can't be sure if I ever had friends at all. Nothing is clear. Am I suffering from some kind of hallucination? Blurry memories of unknown origins are trying to obstruct my vision and judgment. Though I could no longer find the reason for the tears that were flowing from my eyes.
Of course, it seems Master Garnet has been touched by the recognition of the value of his artwork.
The auctioneer glamorized my tears as the signs of overflowing gratitude shed by a moved artist. As revolting as it is, I can't say that it's wrong. I adored this gem more than anyone, yet I loathed it at the same time. Why? Why? Why do I loathe this beautiful yet melancholic piece of work? Melancholic? What about this gem evokes such a feeling in me? Wasn't processing a friend the most rapturous part of making jewelry? No, that is no friend. It's a gem, an uncut gem. Why are these odd memories invading my mind? Keep it together, Maestro. Before I knew it, the crowd murmurs, applauds, and all the other noises tormenting my ears ceased. Eyes send a piercing glare towards me from the cracked window. Pointing hands extend from sleeves belonging to different clothes, and mouths move in unison to speak one word. Garnet. Another music on point. Nice. Nice. I stumbled, trying to regain my balance. The lab was in my sight again. It felt as if only a fraction of a second had passed, but simultaneously I felt like I had just gone through multitudes of decades in different lives. The tubes had gone quiet. Not a voice is heard. I peek into the machines to find the truth behind this stillness. Oh boy. Inside, I find friends wrapped in some sort of translucent membrane, twitching irregularly. They were curled up like fetuses waiting to be birthed anew, rejecting all interference, yearning to return to that primal state. Just as I was overcome with vertigo and sickness, the world shifted yet again. A foul performance relentlessly stabs me. Thousands of notes penetrate the body, echoing through the whole nest. All city dwellers stand in place, taking in the tidal waves of music. Oh. Oh, that is quite the visual. Burning anguish swells in my heart. It's too hot for me to try and hold it. What lies before my eyes is beyond all belief. It hurts to look. Perhaps this is the kind of occasion that brings a person to bloody tears. Why do I have to be robbed of my mundane happiness the instant I find it? Why was the pigeon I bought crispier than ever today?
Sorry, Lapis. I was too late.
The aftermath of her distortion? Yeah, it looks like he's distorting here, yeah. And it looks like, oh, either he's distorting or Lap is distorted over here. I remember you saying that you were a fan of the streets of music, so it'd be okay. This tragedy could have been avoided had I found a way for us to move into a nest. The piano had long since ceased, but its sound still stings me. Maybe the performance has never ended in my heart. I'm going to live the rest of my life in regret for this moment, staring at you in helplessness, having become part of the performance, drenched in notes of blood raining from above. This silence, this hell. My knees dropped to the ground, my legs fully bent. It didn't hurt. I am once again touching the cold floor of the laboratory. Dozens of worlds come crashing in, and then sweep away in waves. In one instant, I was a fixer at Streetlight Office who had just lost his co-worker. In another, I was a director at She Association sending its fixers to doom. I was a poverty-stricken job seeker in an unrecognizable metropolis, being struck by an airplane. A maestro of the ring, absorbed in beauty, a fixer who faced the tragic loss of his whole family. The despair all my selves carried was unbearably torturous, and I felt the urge to turn my eyes away from everything and take refuge at the edge of the world. But that wasn't to be. There is still too much that remains for me to neglect and hide from. Even though the memories I experienced were harrowing, the pain I felt was proof of the love I held. I see that even if all is fated to disappear without a trace one day, there are so many things that shine while the moment is in your hands. That crossing this vast, harsh wilderness is not an insufferable task thanks to the patches of flowers I find along the way. That was a scent my friends deserved to perceive. They were not meant to be forsaken to such fate in a place like this. And so Garnet is embracing all of his different selves. The pants of a ring the pants of pants. A hand of a fixer. A hand of a poor man. A sleeve of the gladius. The face distorted, and the rest of the face also, Ring Maestro. experience Heathcliff has every time he crosses Mirror World, search for other Heathcliffs. It's no wonder he ended up crazy, so it would seem, yeah. Yep, he got to the mirror worlds and he got himself a few IDs. Nice.
Splendid! Simply splendid, Garnet! Your sanity is intact at such a high refraction rate.
Oh wait, it's Yumsun. Shit, it's Yumsun. I keep getting it wrong. Yeah, Yumsun. Oh yeah, no, yeah, it is that. Yeah, Yumsun. Yes, it was the right one. I heard Yumsun's voice through the window.
I must pull Mr. Stroud out of this chamber and put you in there. You were the highest gem along.
That mesmerized look I'm sure I had at one point in the one reflection is severely repulsive. That was the most disgusting pair of eyes out of all of those refracted that I saw over the window. I've seen many pitiable, desolate, and sorrowful eyes up to now. But that was the one I can't stand. Even a minute's brush of eye contact could engulf me in uncontrollable fury. Okay, so the canisters are to send people into mirror worlds to try and extract IDs, I think. Pants Maestro, right torso, she director, left torso and face, streetlight office, right face fixer who lost his whole family. Okay, thank you, Bozo, thank you, appreciate it.
The experimental data's almost complete, just a tiny bit more and I can perfect it at last. The glass window.
So remember, engrave those moments in my memory. My pain will be forged into a knife that will cut through your heart. My own guilt combined with the guilt pouring in from my friends laid inside the machines. When I find the determination to keep these feelings with me rather than try to shake them off. I realize now that although my body is in complete disorder, my mind is able to confront it directly.
You.
And now I declare, adjusting my half-crumpled mask, feeling the silence that has shrouded me in darkness radiate outward.
You'll die by my hands. This is the most pitiful way imaginable.
There you have it. So he has a quick moment, he nearly distorts, and he goes. That's how they got dead rabbits before the wild hunt happened. That makes sense. And with that, there you have it. Chapter 14, Book 14, Reflected Worlds. Oh my god, dude. That was awesome! There you go, everybody. Leviathan, Chapter 14. Once again, everybody, the read-through of this goes to the Games Are Bastard channel. For those of you watching, make sure you're subscribed. Linked in the description. That's where it all goes to. And, oh my god, this just keeps getting better, man. I am loving this. So good. So good. But yes, it is time for us to move on. Shall we? Let's move on.